reminder before we get started, this channel is for educational or perhaps entertainment purposes only, or whatever the law prefers. How y'all doing? Happy Saturday. Hope if you celebrated the U.S. holiday Thanksgiving that you had an enjoyable time. So, yeah, my mic stand is breaking in real time. Oh, it's all right. Okay. I'm going to get a new one anyways. It's long overdue. So, hope you're all doing well. Also wanted to just let everyone know who's a member of the Last Timers Club on Odysee and YouTube. Tomorrow is the November 2023 monthly members live stream, so I will see you then. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and a link should be posted sometime tomorrow afternoon. So, let's get into this case here. It's the near-death experience of John Carter, and it's an interesting one. It's different. And I think I'm just going to get right into it and just let it go, because it's a little, there's enough to say on it. And just to warn you all in advance, John really is in his element with the interviewer, and you'll be familiar with the channel, and she's put out some good stuff. Her name is slipping my mind at the moment, and I can't believe it. But anyways, let's just get right into it. But you're going to see a lot of the religious implications of all of this and how the two worlds collide, right? The earth realm and the astral, or the matrix control structure. So let's get rolling. And there's some data points for sure that that are really gonna stand out, and a little bit of difference in the beginning. So you're gonna get a little bit of both worlds tonight. All right, my friends, let's go. Let's rock and roll. Okay, I'm just gonna put this up for timestamp purposes. All right. And why is the video not playing? Okay, try this.
Hi, welcome to NDE TV.
That's right,
I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is John Carter.
That's correct.
And you've had a near-death experience you're going to tell us about today.
Yes, I'd be glad to tell you about it, because it's something that's changed my life, literally. Well, 2020 wasn't a very good year for a lot of us, including me. And in August of 2020, I collapsed in my home from sepsis poisoning. And I wasn't found for 5 days. And when they did find me,
5 days,
my organs were starting to fail. So they rushed me to ICU at the local hospital here. And it was there that I died twice, from what the doctors told me, but they brought me back both times. And let me just say that what I'm about to tell you was very, very real. This was not a delusion in any way. I know the difference between a delusion and a dream and something that's very real. And what happened to me, I was able to look down on myself, my body, there on the gurney, or the bed that I was laying in, and the doctor and the nurse it was chaos in the room, but they knew it. I could tell they knew what they were doing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And the nurse was putting a needle in my arm, and the doctor had the paddles, and he had the other nurses stand back, and then he hit me in the chest. And while he was doing this, this is the best way to explain it. I was sucked into like a hole, but the hole was like a big spiral type hole, and inside.
Okay, so something I do want to point out. It's a little bit of a different case, as you can tell already, right? He was awake, or at least he was aware. And then he's aware and is good. And as the doctor is shocking him, that's when things change. So it seems like, look, the guy's been sitting on the floor for 5 days, and then he ends up being shocked, defibrillated, whatever, however you want to term it, and starts going out of his body, sees this spiral. So it's a little different. It's wild because it could have even started as like a regular, almost OBE, and then kind of switched over, given the magnitude of what he was dealing with. I don't know how to describe it. It's just something's different. It's different.
Way to explain it. I was sucked into like a hole, but the hole was like a big spiral type hole, and inside that spiral, I started to float towards a distant light. And inside that spiral, I started to see my life from the age of about 2 to 3 years old. All the wonderful things in my life started appearing on the sides of this spiral wall. And I'm going through and I'm seeing things that I've never seen before, but were things that made me very happy when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. Things that I could not remember before. And I've since verified many of those things with my older sister. But anyway, as I was traveling through this tunnel, I'm slowly starting to feel really hot and sweaty, and I just felt strange. My body, or soul, I guess you could say, felt really strange. And as I moved through, I still was seeing pleasurable moments throughout my childhood history, from the ages of 3, like I said, through 14, 15, 16. And as I moved into my adulthood, and then on to, and I'm seeing this, it's like a big round video screen I'm seeing this on. And I'm traveling, and it feels like I'm being pulled towards this light.
Okay, so a big round video screen, and he's being pulled towards the light. So the spiral is essentially the tunnel, right? And what's interesting is the life review, and this very rare type of moment is occurring inside the tunnel. Now, I have seen this before, and they're usually in very, very just like different cases, and John is kind of one of those cases. Sepsis shock is no joke. And so, let's just continue to hear what he says. I mean, you just got to imagine he's going sucked up by the spiral, flying towards a light, being pulled towards a light, and having a life review on some sort of thing embedded inside the spirals. So he hasn't reached the light yet.
Video screen I'm seeing this on, and I'm traveling, and it feels like I'm being pulled towards this light. Finally, I get to the point where I'm at 61, 62. Well, in this case, it was 61. And I all of a sudden, it's like somebody pulled this huge veil back. Have you ever been to a theater and watched a veil come pulling back real fast?
Like the curtain?
Yes, the curtain got pulled back. And I was laying on my back in what appeared to be a strange type dirt. And I wasn't feeling good at all, my soul. But somebody had me in their arms. And it was that person's left arm. And I was looking up at a sky that I had never seen before. I've never seen colors like that before, Peggy, ever. I'm an artist, amateur, of course, but an artist. And there's no way that I could make those colors in this realm from what I saw in that realm. Those colors are completely unique to that space or realm.
Okay, so something I just wanted to talk about with the unique colors, right? We were talking, I believe, in the last stream or maybe a couple streams ago about how we have these preconceived notions and expectations about what things should be. Now, how often do we hear experiencers talk about different colors? It's very often where there's colors they're seeing that cannot be described. So there's a different level of perception and interpretation being made that can't be conveyed here. So something I think it might have been with Dan, maybe even. I don't know. It's sometime in the last month, I would say, that we talked about this. Like, we have these perceptions, right, about what things should be like. But this goes to the bigger step about thinking bigger, right? And it's hard for us to imagine not having senses and how this whole experience is rendered around us, even factoring in something like dreams, right? But take all that away. There's got to be all sorts of different experiences that we can have beyond this whole matrix system, not just the Earth. Every time I always have to preface this by saying, when I say the matrix, I mean the overall system. That includes Earth, that includes the astral realm, and any and all realms within it. That's part of this system. Now, thinking bigger is important because we're able to open ourselves up to more possibilities. The possibilities of the unknown or the knowns that we have forgotten. So I really just want to put that out there because I think it's important. And this is like a prime example of it, where thinking bigger is in our best interest. And again, it can't hurt. Can't hurt for us to think like this. I think beyond all this, I apologize.
And as this person was holding me, he had a large spoon in his hand and a wooden bucket. And the wooden bucket was fairly good sized and the spoon was fairly good sized. And he dipped the spoon in the bucket. And I want to emphasize that my soul was thirsting. I guess the only way to explain it. And he said, he put it up to my lips and he said, "In the name of my Father." And he poured water down my throat. And it was so refreshing. Oh, I mean, so refreshing. I mean, I can't even explain how refreshing it was.
It's beautiful.
It was dribbling down my chin and on my chest. And all of a sudden I started feeling a lot better. I mean, a lot better. And then he said, well, initially he said, "In the name of my Father." And then he said, "In the name of the Son." And he poured another one down my throat. Now I'm really feeling good. Okay. And he dips it in again and he poured it over my head this time. And he said, in the name of the Holy Spirit. And it was at that point.
Okay, so yeah, really important part right here, right? So he obviously has a background where everything is kind of baked into the cake. He has belief systems that are translating to the experience in which we're seeing, right? And just going along with the show, I love how we have the representation of water too, right? Being reborn, rebirth. And this is the process that, like, even though, yeah, he came back and was, if you want to say, reborn, reanimated, even though I think he admits that the doctors said that he never, I'm almost sure that that he said the doctors didn't have any indications of his heart going out. So again, we'll keep listening. I don't recall exactly. I should have re-reviewed the case a little bit deeper before doing it. It's been a while since I watched this one. But anyways, it's just it's interesting, right? You have those instilled belief systems. You have the water representation. You have the life review. The spiral's unique, and I think we're kind of looking at something like a rebirth, and he is just eating it all up. Remember, what did he say, like right before the water? Oh, my soul was getting warm or was getting hot. Well, that's going to start probably getting him to think a certain way in that moment, which is going to open him up to being even more susceptible to whatever the Matrix is going to be trying to sell to him.
I'm really feeling good. Okay. And he dips it in
because of the obvious, right? The hell implications. That's all.
And he poured another one down my throat. Now I'm really feeling good. Okay. And he dips it in again and he poured it over my head this time. And he said, in the name of the Holy Spirit. And it was at that point I felt something go through my entire body or soul. I felt changed completely. I've explained it this way to people. You ever seen that show on Christmas time where the Grinch's heart grew 50 times its size? That's exactly what I felt, that right there, where my heart grew 50 times its size. And I turned to look at this person, and I could smell the mud and everything and could touch it and everything. And he lifted me up and I looked at him and it was Jesus. It was Jesus.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I looked at him like, whoa, and his eyes met mine. I mean, he was looking directly into my eyes and I could see so much love and compassion in his face. And he smiled and he said, John, it's not your time yet. He said, I'm going to prepare a mansion for you and for all your family and friends. He said, but I'm telling you, it's not your time yet. I'm going to have to send you back.
The programming that is transferred into John's experience is incredible. You have the mansions aspect, Jesus, I guess like the mud or the dirt, whatever you want to say. It's just, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And we're just getting at the beginning here.
Mansion for you and for all your family and friends. He said, but I'm telling you, it's not your time yet. I'm going to have to send you back.
I'm telling you, John, it's not your time. Got to send you back, buddy. You got some work to do. The mansion's just not ready yet. I'm sorry. We lost the building permits. The contractor didn't pay his dues. I'm sorry, John. I promise we'll make it up to you. Just head on back, do some Matrix marketing department work, and I promise that mansion with your whole family will be ready and waiting for you, buddy. I'm sorry. John, if you're listening, I mean no offense. I really do. I don't mean it.
It's not your time yet. I'm going to have to send you back. And he lifted me up, and you know, he looked like the Jesus that many of us would conjure up in our heads. And since then, I've looked and looked and looked for through pictures, historical pictures, because I'm a historian. I've got a major in history, so I've looked all through the years of, and I finally found his face, the correct one. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, he wasn't wearing anything except the tunic. I guess the best way to say it is like it smelled like a potato sack, if that makes any sense.
No.
I mean, it didn't stink or anything, but it was that consistency, that tunic he had, that he was holding me with, that he had on. And he had a rope around just a simple rope around his waist, and he had sandals on. And
Sandals
he
too.
went on to say, because I looked to my left and I couldn't help but notice something that I've never seen before, and it completely blew me away. There's this angel standing there with giant white wings, the most glorious wings you've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that. And the angel has a breastplate, and his ankles had armor on them, and he had a sword on his hip, and he had the most gorgeous blonde hair. It was probably shoulder length, and he's smiling at me. And I said, Jesus, I said, man, I said, who is that? And he said, that's Michael. He said, that's my archangel. He said, he brought you here. And I was like, okay. So I smiled back at him, but I mean, it took me aback.
Yeah.
And I said, Jesus, is this heaven? And he said, yes, it is.
Yeah, sure.
And I said, but Jesus, I said, why are you speaking to me? I said, I'm a sinner. I don't belong here. I said, if anything, I belong in the nether regions. And he said, you do belong here, John. And he says to me, he says, John, he says, I want you to know that the last will be first and the first shall be last. Now, I've tried to look up the meaning of all of that, but it took me aback. And I said, Jesus, you don't understand. I'm not worthy to even be in your presence. You know, I didn't lead a great life, to be honest with you. And I even had a little shred of doubt that you even existed. And he said, John, he said, you know now.
You know now.
That I indeed exist.
You know. Now go spread my word.
He said, there's no more room for doubt. And he said, walk with me. And he started to walk with me. And
so, I mean, there's just so much going on, right? I mean, talk about just running the gamut of everything. I mean, seriously, it's just loaded to the brim with, textbook follower. And the experience is representing that. It's mind-blowing. It's just, hey, come walk with me, Mansion's closed at the moment, but...
with me. And he started to walk with me. And Peggy, in front of me, there was this giant field. The most gorgeous field I had ever seen, with rolling hills. And there were thousands, and I don't want to underestimate how many people were there, but there were thousands of people there in that field. And they were all talking and laughing and smiling and very happy. And he walks me up to the first row of folks, and it turns out to be my family, my dad, my mom, all my aunts, brothers, sisters that had, not brothers and sisters of my family, but brothers and sisters in Christ. that I knew here on Earth that had passed on, and that there was also my niece who had a diabetic coma when she was 9 years old, and she was there, and she was in the right arm of my mom. And my dad, he was kind of a jokester when he was here on Earth.
All right, so I'm just going to stop it there because for a moment. It's just they are rolling out the stops and then some in this one. That because of it's so detailed and so connected with his already existing belief systems clearly that we even go to the point where Jesus, and we have seen this before, where Jesus does kind of bring someone into the nature scene, the rolling hills, sometimes there's even other people, souls there, but a lot of times the deceased family members, like a glove, they're there. So it's interesting to see that connection. And, the rolling hills or the running waters, those things are so prevalent in NDEs. It's not even funny. And then they roll out the family, right? The whole family's rolled out, ready to go. And it's just, this is just attachment. Keep stuck within the matrix system. Stay within the illusion every chance you get. They're just really driving it home. And, well, what happens? John comes back, which you'll see later, and is doing the bidding for the matrix. Propping it up, not knowingly, but this is what we see over and over and over and over again.
And I said, Dad, I can't believe it, And I said, how you doing, son? And he reached out his hand and pulled me into him and gave me a big hug. And he said, how are you? And I said, Dad, how are you? And he said, pretty good for an old fella. That's what he used to say here on Earth. And then my mom, she said, oh, Johnny. And she gave me a big hug and a kiss. And I was just taken aback. I was like, oh, my God, this is like a family reunion in heaven. And my niece, she said, hi, Uncle Johnny. And she was just as innocent as ever. And she was a little angel. And she, I was dumbfounded, to be honest with you. I look back on this and I think to myself, my God, this was the most amazing experience. I mean, my aunts, uncles were up there, cousins that had passed on. I ran into my cousin, John Carter, who was my first cousin who lived out in California. And I ran into him and he said, John, do you remember me? And I said, sure, I do. And he gave me the biggest hug. And he said, you remember how our dads used to say, hey, John, and we both turn our heads? And I said, sure. And he laughed. And there were people that I'd never met before, but I had seen pictures of from friends, like mothers and fathers of close friends. And they were up there and they thanked me and gave me hugs for protecting their children while I was on Earth. Well, the deeper I got into the crowd, the more time went back. In other words, I was seeing people that were dressed much differently. And I guess in heaven, you can be whatever age you want, because my mom looked like she was maybe in her 50s or 60s. My dad looked like he was maybe in his early 60s as well. And all my aunts and uncles looked like they were maybe in their 50s and 60s. But this fella comes walking up to me and he had a suit on that was from the 1800s. Looked like something that you would never wear today, obviously. And he had a medal around his neck. And he smiled at me and he said, "You don't know me, do you, John?" I said, "No, I don't." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm your great, great, great grandfather." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "Yeah." And I
Yeah.
said, "That's a cool medal." Because I kept looking at it, you know. And he said, "That's the victory medal." And I said, "Victory medal?" And he said, "I won that in the Civil War." So it must have been something very precious to him.
Oh,
All right. So this was so weird to me. There's if I had to guess, there's like a past life connection clearly with John and this guy, but to have something like war, violence, and pride be such a what's the word, like a thing to brag about, right? When we are talking about a realm that is love and light, all the, and this and that, it's interesting to see like a war connection. It doesn't matter what you think about the Civil War. It doesn't matter what you think about any war. The point is it's violent, right? People die, people suffer, and have horrible experiences. Families get broken up, houses get torched, businesses get torched, whatever the case may be. And I find it interesting that that's something that occurs. And the more you listen to this experience, the more you can kind of make the assumption. Of course, there's no way of proving it, but you can make the assumption, a strong assumption, that we're not necessarily dealing with a near-death experience. We're dealing with an NDE we're dealing with an out-of-body experience that has NDE-like qualities. And, like if I were to interview John, I would want to know more details. I would want to know if they put him on any drugs, right? Like propofol or ketamine or something like that, so that, those drugs in combination with having that work done, right? Going under and getting the paddles and all that stuff. When you factor in all that stuff together, it is possible that his body reacted to trauma, left, and had something like a very, very lucid out-of-body experience. Okay? And as we see in a lot of the other experiencer types, I'm sorry, not cases, experiencer types, there is consistent crossover. But when you get things like drugs and electromagnetism, shocking, stuff like that, things can change, right? Like it doesn't necessarily mean that it is, you can classify this under the near-death experience category. So I really just want to drive that home because it's almost bordering on like a lucid dream out of body experience with NDE like qualities. Does that make any sense? I mean, it's just very different. It's got some indicators. So I don't know. Leave your opinions in the chat or in the comment section. I'm really curious what y'all think, please.
And he said, "That's the victory medal." And I said, "Victory medal?" And he said, "I won that in the Civil War." So it must have been something very precious to him.
oh,
And I kept going into the crowd. And the deeper I got into the crowd, the more people I saw that I had no idea who they were, but they were family relation. Everybody up there apparently was either friends or family relation of friends that I had never been around before, but they were also friendly, giving me hugs, patting me on the back, making me feel at home, being so kind and so loving to me.
Okay, so this is another, like this, we see this in NDEs, building someone up, rolling out the family, rolling out the soul group, boosting someone's ego. Good job, you did great, give you a hug, good job. Some of the most glaring NDEs we can look at are the ones where they walk into like a stadium or an amphitheater and everyone's cheering them on. Yeah. What is that doing? It's clearly just boosting the ego of the person who went through it. It's like, oh yeah, you did a good job, blah, blah. Well, then what happens? What, you get memory wiped and reincarnate again? This is the lengths that the system goes. And this is why, all of us should not just make any snap assumptions or judgments that what's being sold about the afterlife is legitimate, when in fact the system that is responsible and behind all of the atrocities and suffering that occur here is linked to there. So seriously, it's not hard to bridge the gap and keep an open mind and say, well, I think taking the path of non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation isn't such a bad idea, considering, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I know. I don't know. Nobody knows, and anyone who claims to know is full of shit, okay? But the point is that we can't just bank on this system being legitimate, and that, if they're going to cloak us with love bombs and soul groups and family and friends and pets and everything in between, and that everything is on the up and up, and we're just going to buy it lock, stock, and barrel, we have to think a little bit more on this, right? We have to evolve and say, well, you know what? Maybe that's the case. Maybe it is all nice and good. Maybe we all have it wrong, right? Maybe we're all just sitting here and BSing and we all got it wrong. But even if that's the case, would you want to take a chance and with the even a 0.001% chance of coming back here? Hell no. I mean, at least me. I don't know about everybody else out there, but I'm not going to ever risk coming back here just because some, holographic beings pop up who are claiming to be my deceased loved ones or my deceased pets. And that, I'm just going to buy it, or that the God or source or creator is the light. I don't know. You don't know. We all don't know. But we do know one thing. We do know that it is a complete dumpster fire down here. And that everything going on here is still happening. It's allowed to happen. And there is a well-documented history. Regardless of what you believe about history itself, there's a well-documented, consistent history of atrocities and sovereignty-crushing beings, forces that are stomping on us every step of the way. That is consistent in history. We see that, right? That's not up for debate. It's a fact. So take that into account and say, okay, and just think about the meat suit, right? Just think about the design of the body, how poorly designed it is. And yet everyone's like, not everyone, but so many out there like, oh yeah, it's like a precious gift. It's God's perfect creation and blah, blah, blah. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are we going to be honest with ourselves? Or are we just going to, blow smoke up our ass all day long, right? Let's just call it what it is. It's a horrible design. The human body is a horrible design. And look around you. Look at the animal kingdom. It doesn't get much better there. It's all very similar. The nervous system and just the faulty, the dog eat dog world, the food chain, all this stuff. It seems very clear that whoever created this mess is not up to the task of being God, source, or creator. They have failed miserably. But yet, we're just supposed to go flying down the tunnel, go into the light, and just buying everything that the system's telling us. I mean, really, isn't it a no-brainer? I mean, isn't it a no-brainer? I mean, it's so in our face. And again, I'm not saying I have all the answers, I know everything, because I don't. All right? And again, anyone who says they have it all is full of it. All right? And you should be very, very careful about anyone that talks like that. All I'm saying is we are creator beings. That I know for a fact. That's a fact. We're all creator beings. We can use our intention as creator beings to move ourselves in certain directions, or any direction. We can get ourselves in and out of any situation if we want, once we're outside the body. But if we just buy into systems and beliefs that were learned here and carry them over into death, it seems very clear that there is a systematic set of things that occur by design and is customized to you, to me, to everybody based on what they've done, what they believe throughout their entire life. Think about it. They put out a life review, my friends, right? I'm sorry, I know I'm ranting. I'm sorry, but this is just one of those moments. They have the ability, and it's a fact, right? This is, again, there's certain things that are 100% fact, and we know, and then there's certain things we don't know. 100% fact that every moment of every single day of every single year of your entire life, birth to death, is recorded. Otherwise, we wouldn't see the life review popping up over and over and over and over and over again. It's there because it's part of the system. It's part of the guilt trip, the shame. It's part of, the positive and the good too. It's part of the sensory experience, the attachment to everything. But they've got the upper hand by having that and being able to utilize that against us. We just have to shut that all off, right? It's simply not allowed. Intention. It's simply not allowed. You're much more powerful than you think, my friends. We all are. But this whole system is set up in a way to make us not feel that way, to make us feel the complete opposite, to always be looking exterior to ourselves, to a god, to a deity, to a whatever, a cult leader, the president, the Congress, whatever. Pick it. The DMT gods, for Christ's sake. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyways, the point is we don't know, and just blindly trusting, blindly believing when they hold all the cards, and they drug us with love bombs at the time of death. Doesn't that seem just a little unfair? Doesn't that seem just a little out of whack, and something's not quite right with that? The fact that you would go from death to immediate, euphoria love bomb once you go and you're using your intention to go that light, and likely had some belief systems that, brought you there. Why do you think the quote, the light at the end of the tunnel, everybody knows it? Why does everybody know that quote? Everybody knows that quote because it's ingrained into the programming of the system. We're familiar with it too. That's one of those quotes that you ask anyone on earth, they know it. Why? Why is that? It's the perfect representation of the system. Think about this. I've been wanting to do a video on this forever. This is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm sorry. I know I'm ranting, but this is the last thing. Think about this one. The anglerfish. The anglerfish is a literal representation of exactly what's going on here in this realm. The fish has the light over its head. It uses it as a homing beacon to suck prey in, eats it, game over. What does the light do? It's a tunnel. It's sucking you in, hurling you in. The light's appealing to you. It's attractive to you. And then, boom, sucks you in. What about the bug lights, right? The mosquito zappers, the lights. These are exact representations about what is going on out there. It's in our face. It's right there. The evidence is endless. It's endless. It's just a matter of, like, if you're new or otherwise on the fence, just allow yourself the next couple of years to really research this topic. I promise you, if you just allow yourself some time, you'll see it. You don't have to listen to my videos. You don't have to listen to anybody. Everyone can do their own research and come up with their own conclusions. But at the end of the day, the evidence is really overwhelming. It's beyond belief how much is there. And that alone should be enough for any of you who are new or on the fence to continue to research this and question it for yourself. My channel should just act as a guide, a guide to kind of show some of what's going on and breaking down the different types of experiences, not just NDEs, the various different components to all this and how they all link. But anyways, that's it. I'm sorry. It was quite a long rant, but I don't know how I got there, but sorry.
Friendly, giving me hugs, patting me on the back, making me feel at home, being so kind and so loving to me. And it just made me feel so good. And it's the only way I can explain it is that I felt such a joy in my heart, and I still do today. I feel this joy in my heart. And I'm walking and I'm listening to these folks. And there's even this guy that's pushing this cart with a bunch of wrapped sausages, and he's dressed like they did in the European, like 14 or 1500s. And I could smell the sausages. There was a smell of, whoops. I'm sorry.
Now, like the smell of sausages, that's a tough one right there. Some nice hot Italian sausage in the, with a little bit of olive oil and some garlic. I don't know. That one might get us.
Smell of whoops. I'm sorry. Had a phone call coming in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
There was a smell of unbelievable. I guess the only way to say it is the real, it was a pungent smell. That's the word I'm looking for, of sausage. And he kept trying to give me a sausage. He was speaking in a foreign language I didn't understand. I didn't it sounded like maybe Czechoslovakian or maybe Hungarian or something of that nature. But he was trying to give me this sausage. And I said, no. I said, I can't. But he reached out and gave me a hug anyway. I mean, this is what I'm feeling up there. I'm feeling nothing but love. I look in the distance.
Nothing but love.
And there's a guy with like a bucket helmet on. And he's got that cross across it. And he's got a white vestment on. And he's got a red cross across it. And I asked... I
hope he didn't donate to him.
I across it. And I asked... I was walking and I looked and when I got back from heaven, I asked my sister, I said, who is that? And, I wonder what that person was from. And she said he probably was a crusader or something that was in our family, And I was seeing the guys that were dressed as, you see them around the Pope. They dressed like Swiss guards. They had those Spanish looking hats on. And the puffy pants, and they had, and anyway, I'm walking and Jesus turns me around and he says, John, I'm going to send you back. He said, I know you've been meeting a lot of people up here. And he said, I want you to know that I'm going to be bringing you and a lot of other people back up here. He said, but right now, what I want you to do
Oh,
is go back and tell people something. He said, I'm sending you on a mission.
the Matrix marketing department.
And he said, I'm sending you back to tell everyone to love one another and take care of one another, and to love one another as I love them.
Boy, they're doing a bang up job with making sure that follows through here, right? Wow. I mean, when I heard this before, I don't remember when I first heard the case, but anyways, it's incredible, right? Because here this being pawning itself off as whatever, Jesus, is telling John to go back and tell people, oh, well, hey, it's all good. I'm here for you. I'm here, that's all right. I need you to go back and spread my message. Spread my message to be good to one another, to love one another. Well, where's the love with fixing the problems here? Where's the love with fixing the meat suit here? You know what? Even it would be a very, very, swear there's going to be a small little mini rant, but it would be a very simple fix to take care of the, sorry, I'm having a mind blank here. It would be very simple to fix. Wow. Completely blanked out there. Stupid line.
One another and take care of one another.
Okay, that's it. Okay. So sorry guys. Anyways, so yeah, it would be very simple to, all you have to do is just fix the wiring of the meat suit, right? All you have to do is take away the parasitic component, not just with humans, but with the entire animal kingdom, right? That's all you got to do. You got to make it so violence and all sorts of depravity is not embedded into a possibility of occurring while you're here. It's that simple. It's that simple. And if this Jesus, God, whoever cannot even fix that, but yet this is the body's a temple. If that can't be fixed, then what the hell, what kind of shenanigans are we dealing with here? Right? They can't even fix this. And yet we're supposed to be looking, oh my God, you're so wonderful. You kidding me? Get the hell out of here. Really? What the hell?
One another and take care of one another, and to love one another as I love them. That's the best way to be. Or that's the best way I can explain. That's exactly the words that he said. Love one another the same way I love them.
Oh yeah,
And
he loves everyone the same. Oh God, just boy, that love down here is just, it's everywhere. You can see it. You can see it. Right? All the homeless, all the hungry, people not being able to pay their bills, getting evicted, losing their mortgage. Yeah, I mean, it's just, having to, a child having to hike to grab their water, 3-4 miles each way every day, living off a slice of bread or something. Oh, yeah. It's just, love everyone the way I love them. Just think about how insane that statement is. But yet, the cloak of spiritual insanity, of spiritual deception, can make good individuals like John fall for this stuff, can make millions and if not billions of other people here on earth feel that it's all excuses. It's all excuses. There's no critical thinking when it comes to this type of thought. It's amazing.
them.
He's
And
missing tusks. Come on, Ed.
I was taken
Ed.
aback, but my heart felt like it was gonna, or my soul felt like it was gonna explode. I mean, it felt like just overflowing with love, and I, it kind of shook me up a little bit, but every time I'd touch his robe or touch his hand, it just felt so unbelievable. And I can't explain again the colors of the flowers that were in that field, and the rolling hills, and the shining in the distance, and the light, and the grandeur. And really, grandeur doesn't even do it justice, of the sky and the colors that I was seeing. I've seen colors very similar to that with from Hubble, the space telescope, but some of those colors, it just doesn't match up. Some of them I've never seen before. Some of those colors, I've never seen those colors before. I've just never seen it. And well, anyway, after about what seemed like hours of meeting people, I finally got tired, and I laid back down in the field. And when I woke up, I was back in ICU, and they had a thing in my mouth that was helping me breathe, but I was semi-conscious. I guess that's the best way to put it. All I could do was move my eyes. And I looked over, and I saw my daughter with a mask on, looking through a window, watching me, and she was crying. And I gave her a thumbs up, and she smiled. I could tell underneath her mask she smiled. And then I knew that I was going to be okay. And they subsequently sent me to, now this is what's amazing. They subsequently sent me to several different facilities. Because of COVID, they couldn't keep me there. So they sent me to a hospital up in Portage, Indiana. And it was there that I had a doctor for every organ: respiratory, liver, kidneys, right down, even gallbladder. I had doctors for, and they all went to work on me. And they put a PICC line in me here with about 5 different, and I had to have kidney dialysis and all kinds of stuff because my kidneys were failing. I said earlier that my organs were failing. My heart, they gave me 5 echocardiograms. And then on the last one, they found out that my aorta was damaged, and that it was bad or going bad. And if I didn't get it changed out, I was going to have a heart attack. So once they got all my other organs stabilized, and my liver, where they would or my liver and my kidneys, where they would function on their own, independently without having dialysis or anything, then they said, okay, we're going to send you down to Indianapolis University Methodist in Indianapolis. And they shipped me down there. It was there I had open heart surgery, and they put in a new aorta on my heart, and it was a cow's aorta. So I tell people to eat a lot of chicken now. And I have a strong urge to graze in the front yard. No, I'm kidding. But I joke around about it. But I definitely, it gave me a new lease on life. And
Wait, what?
So they sent me up to a rehab place, and it was there that they gave me, guess what? Up here close to home, they gave me COVID. So they sent me, I started to get really bad. I had double pneumonia. So they sent me back to, so they sent me back to Indianapolis University Methodist. And I was in ICU, COVID ICU. And this was in December of, that's how much time it progressed. This was in December of 2020. And there were people dying all around me, Peggy. It was scary. It was a real wake-up call. And everybody was walking around in these strange-looking moon suits And it kind of made you feel like a second-class citizen. But I had so much love in my heart that I didn't care who I met.
So much
They could
love.
be nasty to me all they wanted. I just smiled and told them I love them,
Oh,
you know? And
you
that
did what
was-
you were
and
told to do.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to do. I was telling everybody, you know, about my NDE, the doctors, everybody. And they would even hold my hand and pray with me,
Oh,
which was nice, was really
beautiful.
sweet. And a priest came to see me and blessed me and put oil on my head and blessed me and gave me communion and that felt great. But also I was amazed because I want to point something out. When I was in heaven, it wasn't just Catholics up there. It was people that I knew here on earth.
That's funny. Wasn't
It
just
was-
Catholics
not
up
just
there. I like
Catholics.
that.
No, it wasn't just Catholic. There were people from every type of religion you could think of in heaven. Sorry, I had another phone call. But there were people up there from everything you could imagine, every religion, especially Christian religions that you could imagine. Okay, I mean, I didn't see any Muslims or you know, and that's no slight on them, but I didn't see anybody that. Of course, I was only with family members,
Yeah.
you know, that had passed on. So there you go. But there were a lot of people in my family that were not Catholic, but they were up there. And so I want to make that point clear that I don't think Jesus discriminates a whole lot when it comes to your beliefs.
Okay, so you gotta love how it's the Jesus doesn't discriminate, right? You know, he knew people who didn't have, you know, Christian, Catholic beliefs, whatever you want to, you know, it didn't exist, right? He knew people, but yet Jesus doesn't discriminate. So the assumption, the assumption that Jesus is the only answer is just still mind-blowing to me. I want to thank AA for the very kind super chat. She says, "Happy holidays, Mark. Great show. Thanks so much." And then Tom S. also sends a super chat, says, "Good analysis, Mark. I can't believe it's almost 2 years. Time is flying." Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate you. Been a member for 22 months. Thank you, brother. And Dave Rollman says, with the super chat, says, "Good evening, everyone. Support this channel." Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Always good to see you. Thank you to all three of you.
But what he did do is he had everybody that was up there was smiling, loving one another, hugging one another, joking with one another, being kind to one another, and
then there's the Civil War great-great-grandfather or great-great-uncle, whatever it was, who's bragging about his medal rooted in murder.
another, being kind to one another, and it was a place of utter joy and contentment. That's the best way to explain it. And I was trying to spread that here, and I've been doing that ever since I got back. I've been trying to teach people to love one another, to raise each other up, and to make each other feel comfortable with one another, so that, because Jesus told me, he said, there's too much hate in the world. He said, I don't like it. He said, I want people to learn to love one another. You know, and we are a divided nation, and I'm glad that he told me that, because it taught me a hard lesson. And that was, you know, I had some really strong political beliefs before all of this happened. When I got back, I realized none of that really matters that much. What matters is that you love one another and that you be kind to one another, you know, and that love is unconditional and it comes from God, you know, and I've been trying to teach people that it's not right to try and, I mean, wars and the things that people are threatening with here on earth, they really shouldn't do that stuff. They should learn to love one another. They should learn to love their fellow man. And if everybody did that, what a world we would live in.
Yeah. Have you thought about, or have you looked into your genealogy to find this guy that was in the Civil War?
Yes, yes. In fact, before I died, my daughter did some, or excuse me, my sister did some genealogy. And I should point out when I was.
You know what? I am going to pause it there because I wanted him to be able to ask to go through this. And we're not going to go through the entire conversation because it just kind of goes off the rails with, Christian beliefs, Catholic beliefs, whatever. So let's just take about a 5-minute break. Not going to be that long, and I'll be right back. Oh, I just want to thank Deluxe for the very kind super chat. Says, thank you for your service. Everything else in comparison is irrelevant. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we'll be right back. This topic is the most important that anyone can research for sure. Getting to that firm inner knowing is what it's all about, so that your intentions won't be skewed or misrepresented in the least. And that's the important part of research. It's good to be aware of it and know of it, but to really have that firm fire within, that strong inner knowing that something's off, something's wrong, and that you are a creator being and that your intention is what it's all about. To get there, you really do have to be able to see through the deception. And the only way to do that is the research. So, however that may happen, but I think everyone should spend some time on it and get to that point so that there is no room for error when you're getting ready to leave. But is it something you have to spend the rest of your life researching? No, but at the same time, realizing that your intentions are much stronger and that you are a creator being, those two things are extremely powerful. So, all right, well, I'll see you back here in about 5 minutes, my friends. Appreciate you all, and thank you so much. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational purposes, or perhaps entertainment purposes only, whichever the law would prefer. Okay, so for anyone who may have just joined or hopped on, we're a little more than halfway through this experience, maybe 3/4 of the way, and the channel is also available on Facebook, and or at least for notifications, available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those are all usually where notifications get sent out. And then there's also, we multi-stream every stream on Rumble, YouTube, and Odysee. You can find a referral link if you want to join those platforms. They're completely free, and it's a good way to have an alternative just in case something should ever happen here. I do have a YouTube backup channel as well. Truth in Gaming, available on YouTube and Rumble. And then there's also the Clown World Matrix channel, which is available on Rumble and Odysee. And there is also one last thing. Tomorrow is the monthly members live stream for November 2023. And then we'll also be having, just to let members know, the stream levels, the December, we usually do the last Sunday of every month, but this month we're going to be doing it because of the holiday. It's both Sundays land on, I think, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we'll be meeting Sunday, December 17th for the December member stream at 7:30. And then tomorrow is also at 7:30. And then the annual end of year membership appreciation stream is going to be December 28th at 7 p.m. And we'll also be going over, I'm going to be putting up a replay of the Karma is a Hoax stream that we did. This was a while ago. I think only about 400 of you got to check it out. I was having computer issues at the time. It died out on me, and so I missed being able to cover the end of it, and I had to do some editing because it looked really weird. So that'll be replayed sometime in December. And then there is a small chance, I mean, we are booked, but there is a chance that Dr. Raymond Moody may be coming on for an interview on this Thursday, November 30th at 4:30 p.m. Basically the godfather of near-death experiences. So let's hope that happens. If you can send out some intentions for that, I'd appreciate it. But so far we have a tentative date, but it's not completely confirmed. So it would be great to have him on, though. And I know many of you read his books and familiar with them. So, all right. And if you are interested in supporting the channel, it's always appreciated but never expected. There are links in the description tab for Stream Elements and Streamlabs, which takes the smallest percentage. And then there's also YouTube, obviously, and Odysee takes a smaller cut than all of them. So, all right. Appreciate you, and let's move along.
Should learn to love one another. They should learn to love their fellow.
Have you thought about, or have you looked into your genealogy to find this guy that was in the Civil War?
Yes. In fact, before I died, my daughter did my sister did some genealogy. And I should point out, when I was in heaven, she's had 2 sons cross into heaven and a husband as well. My sister has. And they were all together right there in heaven. And I got a chance to see them. And that was magical.
I bet that was nice for her to tell her.
Oh, yeah, I told her, and she was very pleased. But they had a message for her, and that was, don't be upset. We're waiting for you, and everything's fine. We're very happy. And I even explained to her what they were wearing, and Bob, her late husband, was a very close friend of mine when he was here on Earth. And to see him after 30 or 40 years was really amazing. And I look back on all of these experiences up there, and I thought, man, and to be honest with you, Peggy, I don't know if there's another realm out there, like some people believe in purgatory. Some people believe in, like Catholics do. Some people believe in hell. I didn't see any of that stuff, but that's not to say that it doesn't exist. Okay. Because obviously it's very obvious that evil does exist, but I'm here to do everything in my power to change that, to make everybody understand the importance of love and the importance of loving their fellow man. If you walk into a very pitch black, have you ever been in a room, Peggy, that's pitch black? Mm-hmm. You can't see 3 feet in front of your face. Right. If you light a match, what happens?
You see a little bit.
You see a little bit, but that light chases the darkness in every direction. And that's the light of Christ.
Aye.
And that's the goodness and love that he emits.
Makes me think of that little kid's song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine."
That's exactly right. There's a lot of truth to that song. Mm-hmm. And all the darkness, which is evil, heads for corners and gets out of there. Because good always conquers evil.
No, it doesn't.
And love always conquers evil, no matter what. Even when I was getting well, I ran into nurses that were having a bad day, and they would really.
All right, let's just be honest, right? I don't remember who I was speaking to, but it was recent. I think, yeah. I apologize for not remembering, but anyways, we were talking about how, like, a prime example of, like, oh, love always wins, right? Not how that is not true. You can have Buddhists being slaughtered for their nonviolence, right? They have nonviolence as their force within. And, well, do you think another individual or a group of individuals is going to care about that if they want to take your land, take your women, take your children, you know, and just move in on you? No, they're not. What about the military, right? Militaries that invade other countries, and, you know, country I reside in is really good at that type of stuff. And so what about them? How is love always winning there? How is kindness winning in that respect? It's just not true. Okay? It's just not. But some like to live in fantasy land, and just like, there's just something about it with the New Age belief system, the Western belief systems in general. All this type of stuff is just, there's just something about it that just blockades people from looking at what's right in front of them, what's going on in the world. And you know, we've all grown up in this world, right? We've all grown up and seen the TV. We've heard the radio. We've seen and read the newspapers, the books, the history. All of us, without exception, are very aware of what humanity is capable of and what it has done. Right? So, again, where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the good faith? It's just not true. I don't take any pride in saying stuff like that. I wish it was different, and if it was, that's exactly what I'd be talking about, but it's just not the case. It's just about being honest with yourself and realizing that the horrors of the world are very true, very real, and that what we're being sold is a bill of goods on the other side, painted in this love bomb. Anyways.
Get nasty with me. And sometimes, and it's not because I wasn't, doing things that they wanted me to do. They just were having a bad day, and I could pick up on that.
We all
But I
get in
would
the
tell
darkness
them-
sometimes.
Yeah, and I told them, I said, look, no matter how bad your day is, you need to know that Jesus loves you, and so do I. And things are going to get better. And you're a great nurse, and their faces would be like, I could see the light of Christ just light them up, and that's what we need to do. We need to spread that love to each and every person that we run into.
Yeah, it's hard to stop if someone's being nasty and take their hand and, are you having a bad day? Instead of, well, you bitty, I'm going to tell your supervisor, get you fired.
Exactly. And, and I did run into a lot of people that were uncaring, so to speak. They put me after I had obtained COVID, they put me in a really bad nursing home because I was the only place that was taking people with COVID.
Did he say if he was in New York? I'm really curious. I think maybe. Anyone remember? Did he say where he's from? Was he in New York?
Really bad.
Because we know what happened there. Not going to elaborate on that one.
Bad nursing home because I was the only place that was taking people with COVID at that time. And
At 60.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I asked my doctor when I got back, my personal physician, when I finally got home, I asked her, I went to the doctor and she said, I didn't think you were going to make it. She said, people your age were dying. And she's right. I was down there and people were dying all around me. The blue light go off, and I would see the same thing that happened to me when I had the sepsis. They would they would put the needle in the arm and they would do chest compressions on them. And they had this thing that they put over their mouth and squeeze, this like balloon thing to try and get their breath going. And a lot of people, they'd call it. I'd see the doctor look at his watch and call the death.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is, I'm sorry. Gotta be careful with that one.
It was the same stuff that President Trump and Melania took. They gave that to them and they healed like in
the Regeneron or whatever the hell it's called
from COVID.
And it brings up
all the garbage from your lungs. Did with me anyway. And they gave me a suction tube, and that would suck all the garbage from my lungs, right down it. And within 2 weeks, I was asymptomatic, which means I had no temperature. My oxygen was fine. I mean, they still had me on oxygen, but my oxygen was getting much better. And that my heart rate, I had
He saved his own life by not consenting to the machines, right? Let's just be honest. And I'm not even going to go much deeper into that part, but anyone who's paying attention during that time period and heard about the results of what occurred with a number of people, it is one of the most disgusting things out there. I mean, well, there's so many disgusting things, but that one during the whole, thing that occurred a few years ago just was really about as low as you can get. And he's also even talking about nursing homes. Really? I mean, come on. Yeah, maybe common knowledge, Sydney, but some people know, some people don't. I don't know. Depends what you're looking at, right? Not everybody knows everything, Sydney.
No arrhythmia or anything like that. My heart was fine. They had the cardiologist come in, kidney doctor come in, everybody checking on me, checking on my blood. They took blood work every single day. And that got to be kind of tiresome. But that's okay. I didn't mind because I knew I had a mission to do. I knew when I got out of there that I had to go to therapy for a couple months and learn how to walk again. Believe it or not, I had been in the hospital that long. I had lost all my muscle mass in my arms and legs. So they had to put me in a Hoyer lift just to get me around.
Jeez.
And put me in a wheelchair. And I had to go to a gym when I finally got in rehab and learn how to walk and do all the things that a lot of people do to get well. And I did. And they said I was the model student because they would ask me to do 20 or 30 reps and I do 40, on a machine or whatever, because I wanted to get well and I wanted to go home. That was my goal. And I really, really pressed myself to do that. And finally, the first week of April, my future son-in-law came and got me and picked me up. And, I had all my stuff with me. And he drove me home. And I was still a little shaky, of course, and still had to do a lot of rehab. But I could do enough walking with a walker and so forth to where I could get around the house and do things for myself. And I've been doing that ever since, and working out on the treadmill and working out on the bike and trying to get myself healed as fast as I can. But I feel a lot better now.
Good.
And now I'm spreading this mission that I'm on, I guess you could say,
Well, I am so proud to have you on to help spread that. You have a beautiful, detailed, heavenly story and being told what to come back and tell us, and that he sends people back is amazing. I'm so honored to have you on.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. You have a sweet heart. I could tell. I
mean it. I very much mean that.
Well, I'm just being the Holy Spirit now, when he poured that water over my head, I mean, it really flows through me. And I've told people things that I don't even know where I got this information from. It came off the top of my head, but it was the Holy Spirit. I had one person, they wanted me to explain to them how Jesus exists. How can Jesus exist? And because they didn't believe, and that's okay. I told them, I love you. I understand. I said, but let me ask you one question. And they said, sure. And I said, 2,000 and plus years ago, how many poor carpenters
allegedly
do you think lived in Judea? And he says,
or Egypt.
well, I don't know. He said, maybe 400 or 500. And I said, that's probably a good guess. I said, now, how is it that one of those poor carpenters has changed the entire face of humanity? I said, how can that be? Now, I don't know where I got that information from, Peg.
And all over the world of all religions, the most seen person in heaven is Jesus.
This argument's
Well,
terrible.
I don't know where I got that information from.
Most seen religious figure, because only a small percentage actually has a religious figure experience. And I'm in that category as well, because I was with God and Jesus as well. And so we're in a small category of people that actually saw him. But of the people in that category that actually sees a religious figure across the globe of all faiths, the most viewed testimony that they saw was Jesus.
Okay, so let's just find out, right? Okay, so this comment it drives me nuts because it's true and it's not true, because it makes it seem like other deities, archetypes, do not appear in other cultures, in which they certainly do. Christ, they appear in indigenous tribes, right? For whatever their belief system is. Just 1 minute. All right, so there are, as of the year 2021, Christianity had approximately 2.38 billion believers, adherents, right? And we have what's the total population of the world? Come on. I don't want to say the number because I'm probably off, but okay. All right. So 8.1 billion people. All right. That's a lot. Yeah. 8.1 billion, 8 billion, whatever. All right. So that's a lot of damn people. And then when you take into account that, I'm not going to make any assumptions about the research that's being consumed by either of them, but it's mostly going to be research from Western publications, right? Western researchers like Dr. Moody. Okay. But there are many of these. There's Japanese, there's Chinese researchers. I mean, there's Indian. There's so many different types of researchers out there who are looking at this stuff, and it's customized to your belief system. Period. Point blank. It's a fact. And I'm sorry, but she knows this. She knows this, but just puts up the blinders because she's been around for a long time. She's put out a lot of great content, a lot of great interviews, no doubt about it. But at the same time, she has her own biases that are preventing her from, I don't know, I guess acknowledging it. And then, of course, you add to it her experience, his experience. Well, it's easy to see how someone can be picky choosy about the research. So really important that is out there, because make no doubt about it, what's occurring in NDEs is customized to the individuals, customized to the belief system, and that's the way it goes. It's so consistent, it's not even funny. Now, if we're talking about will someone see a religious figure every time, that's different. Some see Jesus, some don't. Many think that the light itself is the God, source, creator, right? And just bypasses the whole Jesus thing, right? But the Matrix is going to spit out a certain protocol based on your belief system and customize it. That's consistent. We see that. So if it feels it needs to throw Jesus at you, that's what you'll get. If it feels it needs to throw, Kali, that's what you'll get. Buddha, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. It's customized. And then some cases you won't get anything. You won't get any sort of deity, but you'll just get an energy or a being or a clouded figure that maybe might resemble Jesus or might resemble this one or that one, right? Or you'll just get to see your deceased loved ones, right? But still have like this love bomb effect going on. It varies. But it's at the end of the day, it's completely 100% customized to the individual. And so whatever the Matrix feels it needs to dish out in order to keep you convinced, that's what it does.
And that makes sense. I can only go from what I know on a personal level, obviously, and you too. But I do know this. I can bring you the picture of the person that I met because I have that picture.
You have it with you now?
I can send that to you.
Oh, okay.
I wish he showed it.
And because I found it.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I was shocked that I even found it. But that was the person in heaven that I had met and that did all of those things for me. And the amazing thing is that when I could touch things up there, I could smell things up there. It was like I was there in person, but I wasn't, if that makes any sense. I had all 5 of my senses. Now, you don't have that in a delusion. You just don't. You don't have all 5 of your senses. And to me, I never used to talk this way before, and I never used to be this way. And I was kind of hard-nosed and tough and before and wasn't that big of a believer, so to speak. I made fun of a lot of people who were, I called them Bible thumpers or whatever the case may be. I guess, but that was the sinner in me. And Jesus, I told him, I said, look, I'm not worthy to be here in front of you. I was so amazed that it was him.
And that's brave, I imagine most of us would be like, you don't see everything I did, do you? Like, I'm not going to tell you. We're like.
That's what I felt. I felt so guilty. I said, there should be somebody up here who's like a saint or something, not me. And he said, John, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And I understand what he means now.
Yeah.
That
and you didn't get it right away. You were like, you still didn't get it.
No, I didn't. I didn't get it right away. I was like, what is he talking about? But when I got back, I looked it up, in the Bible, and he said something like that in the Bible. I can't quote it verse, but
yeah,
he did say that.
It's pretty close, yeah.
And I never read, I couldn't quote scripture before. Never in a million years could I do anything like that. But here I am, learning. Jesus is teaching me things that, he had said previously when he was here on earth. Yeah, and so anyway, I told this person, how can one person, Jesus, change the entire face of humanity? And he didn't have an answer for me. And he said, you got a point. And I planted that seed. And I said, well, if you do anything, at least walk away with this. Love your neighbor and pray for those that don't like you, your enemies, and take care of those that may not like you or may despise you. Pray for them and be kind to them and lift them up, because that's the message that's in my heart.
All right. So I think we'll leave it there. That's pretty much his message. And then they kind of go off into a, further religious dogma that really isn't about the experience. But it was definitely a different one. I don't think he had an NDE. I think there was his heart was fine. I don't think he ever lost the pulse. And I believe that it's likely that they pumped him full of drugs, and we don't have any confirmation on that, but we do know for sure that they, shocked his heart, right? And then that's what sent this experience on its way, regardless of what you think about it, right? So I think we can classify this more as like a OBE slash even more like crossing over with like a lucid dream, right? It's because these types of things do cross over, but at the same time, make of it what you will. It's I understand some have varying opinions about tonight, and I get it. I was kind of even skeptical about sharing this one, but it's an interesting one. However, if it's true, or maybe if there's even some embellishing on his part, I don't know, right? But I do feel that he had an experience, like how deep that experience goes, or maybe if there were things added or things that he needed to add to it in order to feel like he was fulfilling his life script, his plan, or the mission that he had to do. I don't know, right? But anyways, I want to thank John for sharing his experience to whatever extent that goes. And I guess I'll leave the stream at that. I want to thank Uwu for the very kind super chat. As always, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much, my friend. Says, have a good night, Mark. 100% star. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, so what I'll probably be doing is heading on over to the Truth in Gaming channel if anyone's interested in joining on over there. That's going to be on YouTube. And also wanted to remind everybody, I know I already said it, but I'll just say it one more time just in case. The monthly members live stream for November is going to be tomorrow. Today, technically, November 26th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So feel free to join us there. And I do have a email list as well. If you could sign up for that, that'd be great, because it's a good way for us to stay in touch just in case something should ever happen here. I mean, you never know, right? It's crazy. It's one of the few things that I actually have control over, should anything actually occur. And then there's also the YouTube backup channel, and I'm going to drop the link for y'all if you're interested in checking out Horizon Zero Dawn. I do want to get back into Alan Wake. It's just you have to really, really concentrate on that one. You really got to concentrate on it. And it's like the brain just needs to do to be more available, or at least I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place tonight, so I hope my delivery came off all right. But anyways, it is what it is. And okay, so I am going to pop this in here for y'all. Hopefully. All right. Here it is. Okay. All right. So, again, appreciate y'all. And have yourself a good rest of your weekend. And I'll see some of you tomorrow. Thank you.